Hello, welcome to Amazon, the Earth's most customer-centric company. Thank you for applying as a customer service associate here in our Mall of Asia site. Before you start, I want to give you an overview of your whole application process. You will only need to complete 3 steps in order for you to get hired. First, you will undergo an online registration where you will provide us with your basic information, educational background, and employment history if you have any. Second, you will take a series of assessments which I will discuss further later on this video. Lastly, if you pass all of our assessments, you will be attending a discussion with a recruiter to discuss with you your job offer. Now, let's start with your online registration. I will guide you as you complete your registration to avoid any issues with your application. Feel free to pause and replay this video on your own in case you need to catch up. Using Microsoft Edge from the taskbar below, please go to amazon.force.com. On the home page, click Search, then type Pasay in the city field to filter the job assigned in our site. The only result should be Customer Service Associate here in Pasay City, Philippines. Go ahead and click Apply. You will be landing to a page of the Customer Service Associate hiring, where you will see basic qualifications, skill sets, and description of the job you're applying for. Go ahead and pause this video for you to read through before we continue on the next steps. After reading through the job description, go ahead and click I accept before clicking the Continue button. If you already registered before, or it's your second time applying here on site, you've most likely created your profile already. If yes, go ahead and sign in with your email and password. If you cannot recall your password, go ahead and click Forget Password and continue with the rest of the instructions from the page. If this is your first time to apply, you do not have a profile yet. This means you will need to click on Register here. Throughout your registration process, please observe proper capitalization in all of the proper nouns. Go ahead and enter your name and email, then pause the video. For your password, we need to strictly follow this format, which starts with the capital letter A, followed by your own mobile number, then the hashtag key, just like the example on the screen. In entering your mobile number, please make sure that you select Philippines to automatically add our country code, which is 63 in the gray box. Then on the blank field, enter the rest of your mobile number without the number 0 in front. Confirm by doing the same thing on the right side. Choose Philippines in the country section, then look for Philippine time in the preferred time zone section. To locate it easier, look for it within the range of GMT plus 8 hours. Then finally, click the Register button. On this page, we do not require you to upload any necessary documents. You may skip it by clicking Continue without document. You will be landing into a page where it auto-populated your name, your email address, and your mobile number. Please keep everything in the mentioned section. However, we need to work on adding the rest of the information on this page. Let's start with your name. Although it says optional, you must still indicate your middle name. Only leave it blank if you do not have a middle name legally. In Address 1, enter the street address only. We are limited to 30 characters on this section, so please abbreviate your entry. For example, Lot 6 is entered as L6, Block 10 is entered as B10, or use ST for street. No need to enter the barangay name, subdivision name, condominium name, or anything that is not part of the street address as you can use the address to section for those. For example, use address to for the name of your subdivision and or barangay name. As you can see, there's also no need to enter the city or town as you have another box for that. The country is already default to Philippines, so there is no need to change that as well as to enter the state or province section. What you need to enter is the zip code. If you do not know your zip code, feel free to open another browser to search for it. In the national ID type, select Philippines SSS from the drop-down option. Then enter your SSS number without dashes if you already have an SSS ID. If you do not have an SSS ID number yet, go ahead and use 0 for now and enter it 10 times. Now in your date of birth, you can't simply type in your birth date. Instead, you need to select it from the calendar pop-up. Click on the month and year to navigate a few years back. This is the same way you will need to do it every time you're asked to enter a date. For example, later on you'll be asked to enter the start and end date of your school or employment. You will need to do the same thing where you need to select it from the calendar pop-up instead of typing it in. Now using the calendar pop-up, select the day when you're available to start working with us. In the question, how did you hear about this job? You will need to select the most appropriate source as this is the only way for us to credit the right source or people. For example, if you were referred by an employee, select referral, then current employee referral so you can indicate the name of the employee below. If you're from an agency, select agency, then select other agency so you can type the name of the agency who endorsed you on the blank field below. After completing everything on this page, go ahead and click the Save and Continue button below. You are now in the General Questions page, where we have a few screening questions which will help us identify whether you fit the candidate we're looking for. These are autofill questions which is answerable by yes or no. Not being able to meet these basic qualifications may disqualify you from the remainder of the application process. This said, please read and understand the questions properly before answering them. Go ahead and pause the video so you can take some time to answer, and when ready, click the Save and Continue button. On the next page, which is the Tell Us About Yourself page, you will continue to answer some autofill questions, so please read and understand them carefully before answering. As always, click Save and Continue when ready. On the Education section, you will also be asked for some information about your educational background. Start by choosing your highest degree earned in the drop-down. Then list down all the schools you attended starting from your high school to the highest degree you earned which is selected from the drop-down above. You will have multiple entries, so use the Add Row button to add your entries. After listing down the schools you attended, your page will most likely look like this. Or maybe more line items if you have multiple entries because of attending multiple schools. Feel free to remove an item in case you need to. When ready, go ahead and click the Save and Continue button. Just like the previous page, you will also list down your employment history in your work experience section. You will start with your first employer down to the very last one or present if you are still employed. If ever that you have too many employers to list down, indicate only at least the last 7 recent employers that you work with. If you cannot recall your exact start and end date with these employers, it's okay to just estimate, but be sure to enter the correct month and year. Put a check mark on this box if you do not have any work experience yet. Click Save and Continue afterwards. As an equal opportunity employer, we are committed to a diverse workforce and is also committed to a barrier-free employment process. Feel free to answer this question about your gender based on your own preference. Congratulations! You have just completed your online registration. You also passed our basic screening process. You're now ready to start the second step in your application, which is our online assessments. By this time, all your information have been entered and saved into the system. In case you accidentally close the browser in any part of the assessments or encounter any issues, you can always log back in and continue from where you left off. Just go back to the homepage of amazon.force.com and click Complete my application today. Otherwise, you may as well continue with your online test in the assessment section. Before you start, let me give you an overview of the whole assessment process. You will undergo a total of 4 tests to be able to move forward to the next and final step of your application, which is your job offer. You will take the first 3 tests here, which will all pop up into a different browser sequentially. To do this, pop-up and Java have been enabled in this workstation. Otherwise, you will encounter an issue. If so, just like what was mentioned in the previous slide, you can always continue from where you left off in case you need to. Your first test is called Written Versant. It is a basic grammar test where you will undergo sentence completion, passage reconstruction, and email writing. The second test is a cultural assessment where you will answer questions that will let us gauge your character, which is important for us to see if you're aligned with the different sets of principles and culture that we live up here in Amazon. Your third test is called Virtual Job Tryout. This is the most important part of the assessment as it will gauge how well you navigate the system while completing multiple tasks simultaneously. It is a simulated call scenario where you will assist an automated customer. The last test is Voiced Versant. This is our way to identify whether you're clear to talk over the phone. It's important because this is our main channel in assisting our customers. It will not be taken here in this room. Your instructor will tell you later if you pass test 3, so you can move forward with this test. Whenever you're ready, click this button to start your assessment. In the event that you are routed on this page after any assessments, click the Continue button for you to move to the Review and Submit page. This page will let you review and edit the information you provided before finally submitting everything. Please note that if you prematurely got routed into this page without completing the rest of the test, it only means that we did not get enough score from the last test that you took. Nevertheless, please type your complete name in the box for your e-signature, then click the Submit Your Application button below. This thank you message is the only indication that you're done with your online application and testing here. Please advise your instructor so you can get the result and see if you will continue to your final test.